The Galactic Council. In the Grand Amphitheater of the Galactic Council headquarters, representatives from a myriad of spacefaring civilizations had gathered for an emergency session. The air buzzed with nervous energy as the councilors took their seats, their whispered conversations echoing off the vaulted ceiling. At the center podium stood Xyloth, the Eldari Chancellor. His amber eyes surveyed the room solemnly. "Esteemed members of the council," Xyloth began, his voice amplified and translated into 1,000 tongues. "We convene today to address a matter of utmost importance. Our long-range sensors have detected a new spacefaring civilization in a previously unexplored sector of the galaxy." Murmurs rippled through the assembled dignitaries. The emergence of a new space-capable species was always significant, but the grave tone of the Chancellor suggested there was more to this development. Xyloth raised a slender hand for silence. "This species, which calls itself human, originated on the third planet of a medium-sized star system. They have achieved interstellar travel far more rapidly than our projections indicated possible for their level of technology. More concerning still, they have already begun to explore and expand beyond their home system with alarming speed and tenacity." A holo display flickered to life above the stage, showcasing the slowly rotating image of a blue and green world, the human homeworld. Xyloth gestured to it as he continued. "Our preliminary observations suggest that these humans are a young race, barely a few 100,000 years old. Yet in that short time, they have progressed from primitive tools to nuclear power and spaceflight. Their technological ascension has been meteoric, and frankly, quite concerning." The chamber erupted into a cacophony of agitated voices. Some councilors expressed incredulity, others fear. A few simply looked intrigued. Xyloth allowed the initial wave of reactions to subside before speaking again. "I know this news is unsettling, but we must consider the implications carefully. The humans have already demonstrated a remarkable capacity for innovation and adaptation. Their technology, while primitive by our standards, is developing at an unprecedented rate, and their exploratory nature suggests they will not be content to remain confined to their own star system for long." An insectoid counselor from the Sixth Collective stood, its chitinous exoskeleton clicking as it moved. "Chancellor Xyloth, are you suggesting these humans pose a threat to the stability of the galactic community?" Xyloth paused thoughtfully before replying. "I am suggesting that we cannot ignore their presence or potential. Whether they become allies or adversaries remains to be seen, but we must be prepared for either outcome." A ethereal, luminous being from the core consensus floated forward, its melodic voice resonating in the minds of all present. "What do you propose, Chancellor? Surely we cannot simply observe and wait for this unpredictable species to stumble upon us." "Indeed not," Xyloth agreed. "I propose we dispatch a covert mission to study the humans more closely. We must understand their capabilities, their motivations, and their potential trajectory. Only then can we make informed decisions about how to proceed." The council chamber fell silent as the representatives considered the Chancellor's words. The gravity of the situation was not lost on any of them. The discovery of a new spacefaring race was always a momentous occasion, but the humans represented an anomaly, a species whose rapid advancement defied all known precedents. After a long moment, Xyloth spoke again, his voice solemn yet resolute. "We stand at a pivotal juncture in galactic history. The decisions we make regarding these humans will have far-reaching consequences for us all. Let us proceed with wisdom, caution, and an open mind. The future of our civilizations may well depend on it." As the council session adjourned and the representatives dispersed to their ships, a palpable sense of unease hung in the air. The galaxy had suddenly become a little less predictable, a little more dangerous. In the depths of space, a new player had emerged, and nothing would ever be quite the same again. The covert mission. The sleek, obsidian ship sliced through the void, its presence masked by the most advanced stealth technology the galaxy had ever seen. Aboard the vessel, A carefully selected team of operatives from across the council races prepared for the mission that would take them into uncharted territory. A mission to observe and assess the mysterious new species known as humans. At the helm sat Captain Zora Vel, her lithe elderly form draped in a form-fitting uniform. Her eyes, a piercing emerald green, focused intently on the holo-displays that surrounded her. Beside her, the insectoid navigator Kix-Tac chittered softly as it plotted their course through the stars. In the ship's central chamber, the rest of the team gathered to review their objectives. There was Rilkar, the towering reptilian warrior from the Saurian Dominion, his scales gleaming a deep crimson in the dim light. Beside him stood Area Chorus, the core consensus representative, her luminous form pulsing gently with anticipation. "All right, team," Zora began, her voice calm yet authoritative. "Our mission is simple but critical. We are to observe the humans, gather intelligence on their capabilities and intentions, and report back to the Council. Under no circumstances are we to make contact or reveal our presence. Is that understood?" The team nodded in unison, their expressions a mix of determination and apprehension. They all knew the stakes. The fate of the galactic community could hinge on the success of their mission. As the ship neared the human system, Zora called up the latest intelligence reports on the main holo display. Images of human cities, vehicles, and technology flickered past, each one analyzed and annotated by the Council's best minds. "As you can see," Zora commented, "the humans have made remarkable strides in a short time. Their cities are sprawling, their vehicles advanced, and their technology progressing at an alarming rate. But what concerns the Council most is this." She zoomed in on an image of a human spacecraft, its metallic hull emblazoned with strange markings. "This is one of their exploratory vessels, primitive by our standards, but evidence of their drive to expand and discover. They have already begun to venture beyond their own system, and it's only a matter of time before they stumble upon the greater galactic community." Rilkar snorted, his razor-sharp teeth glinting. "They look weak. Surely they pose no real threat to us." Arya pulsed a gentle admonishment. "Do not underestimate them, Rilkar. Their history is short, but filled with conflict and conquest. They are a species that adapts and overcomes, often against great odds." Zora nodded in agreement. "Arya is right. We must approach this mission with caution and objectivity. Our purpose is to learn, not to judge." As they entered the human system and began their observations, the team quickly realized that the reports had only scratched the surface. The humans were even more advanced than they had anticipated, their cities gleaming with technological marvels, and their spacecraft more numerous and sophisticated than expected. But it was the humans themselves that truly fascinated the team. They watched as the bipedal creatures went about their daily lives, working, playing, and interacting with a vibrant energy that was unlike anything they had encountered before. The humans displayed a remarkable range of emotions, from joy and love to anger and sorrow, and a capacity for both great kindness and terrible cruelty. Kix-Tac, who had been monitoring human communications, turned to Zora with a puzzled expression. "Captain, I have analyzed their transmissions and data networks. The humans are diverse. They have countless languages, cultures, and beliefs. They do not seem to have a unified global government or society." Zora frowned thoughtfully. "Interesting. That could make them unpredictable, but also adaptable. They may not have the cohesion of council races, but their diversity could be a strength." As the mission continued and the team compiled more and more data on the humans, a growing sense of unease began to permeate the ship. The humans were advancing faster than anyone had predicted, their technology and exploration efforts accelerating at a breakneck pace. "Captain," Rilkar rumbled, his voice tight with concern, "I have detected a human spacecraft approaching our position. It appears to be an exploratory vessel, similar to the ones we observed earlier." Zora's eyes widened in alarm. "Are they aware of our presence?" Kix-Tac shook its head. "Negative, Captain. Our stealth systems are fully engaged. But if they continue on their current trajectory, they will pass within a few thousand units of our location. A heavy silence fell over the team as they realized the implications. If the humans discovered them, it could jeopardize not only their mission, but the delicate balance of the entire galactic community. Zora took a deep breath, her mind racing. All right, here's what we do. Kixtack, plot a course that will take us away from their projected path. Relcar, keep monitoring their communications for any sign that they've detected us. Area, prepare a message drone to send back to the Council. We need to update them on the situation. As the team scrambled to carry out her orders, Zora couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something momentous. The humans were no longer just a distant curiosity. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would never be the same. Little did she know just how right she was. As the alien ship slipped away into the depths of space, the human vessel continued on its course, its crew unaware of the close encounter that had just taken place. But that blissful ignorance would not last forever. The wheels of fate were turning, and the collision course between two civilizations had already been set in motion. First contact. Captain Lena Sorensen stood on the bridge of the UES Magellan, her eyes fixed on the vast expanse of space that stretched out before her. The Magellan was the most advanced exploration vessel ever built by human hands, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of her species. And now, after months of preparation and anticipation, they were finally embarking on their first mission beyond the solar system. Status report. Lena called out, her voice crisp and commanding. Her first officer, a tall, lanky man named Jake Holston, looked up from his console. All systems are green, Captain. We're ready to initiate the jump to FTL on your command. Lena nodded, a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Excellent. Let's make history, people. As the crew prepared for the jump, a sudden alarm blared through the bridge. Lena whirled around, her eyes narrowing. Report. The sensor officer, a young woman with short, spiky hair, frantically scanned her displays. Captain, I'm picking up a strange energy signature off our starboard bow. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. Lena frowned, a sense of unease creeping up her spine. Bring it up on the main view screen. The screen flickered to life, revealing a patch of space that seemed to shimmer and warp in a way that defied explanation. It was as if something was there, just beyond the edge of their perception. Jake leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concentration. Could it be a natural phenomenon? Some kind of spatial anomaly? Lena shook her head slowly. I don't think so. Look at the way it's moving, almost like it's reacting to our presence. Suddenly, the shimmering patch of space seemed to ripple and then vanish, revealing a sleek obsidian ship unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It was enormous, easily dwarfing the Magellan, and its surface was covered in intricate alien markings. For a long moment, the bridge was silent, the crew staring in awe at the impossible sight before them. Then, chaos erupted. Captain, we're being scanned. The sensor officer shouted, her voice edged with panic. Some kind of high-energy beam is penetrating our hull. Lena snapped into action, her training taking over. Raise shields, arm weapon systems, and prepare to engage if necessary. Jake shook his head, his face pale. Captain, our shields are useless against this kind of technology. And our weapons, I don't think they would even scratch that thing's surface. Lena gritted her teeth, her mind racing. They were completely outmatched, and they both knew it. But she wasn't about to let her crew down without a fight. Open a channel, she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. All frequencies, all languages. Let's try to communicate. The comms officer nodded and began transmitting a standard greeting, his hands shaking slightly as he worked. For several tense minutes, there was no response. The alien ship hung in space like a great black monolith, silent and inscrutable. Then, just as Lena was about to give the order to retreat, the comms panel lit up. Captain, we're receiving a transmission. the comms officer exclaimed, his eyes wide with disbelief. It's in English. Lena blinked, momentarily stunned. Put it through, she managed, her heart pounding in her chest. The view screen flickered, and then an image appeared that took Lena's breath away. It was a being unlike any she had ever seen, with lithe, elegant features and skin that shimmered like polished silver. Its eyes were a piercing emerald green, and they seemed to stare directly into Lena's soul. Greetings, the alien said, its voice melodic and strangely accented. I am Captain Zora Vel of the Galactic Council. We have been observing your species for some time, and we feel it is necessary to make contact. Lena swallowed hard, struggling to find her voice. I am Captain Lena Sorensen of the United Earth ship Magellan. We come in peace, seeking to explore and learn about the universe around us. Zora inclined her head, a faint smile playing across her lips. A noble goal, Captain Sorensen, but one that carries great risk and responsibility. There are forces in this galaxy that your species is not yet ready to face. Lena bristled slightly, her pride stung by the alien's condescension. With all due respect, Captain Vel, we have faced many challenges in our history and overcome them. We are ready to take our place among the stars. Zora's eyes flashed with something that might have been amusement or admiration. You are bold, Captain Sorensen. That is a trait that serves your species well, but boldness without wisdom can lead to destruction. Lena opened her mouth to reply, but Zora held up a hand to silence her. We have much to discuss, and much to learn from each other, but now is not the time or place. I propose a temporary truce, a chance for our peoples to meet and negotiate under peaceful terms. Lena hesitated, her instincts warring with her curiosity. She knew that this encounter could change the course of human history, for better or for worse. But she also knew that she couldn't pass up the opportunity to learn more about this incredible new reality they had stumbled into. Very well, she said at last, her voice firm and resolute. We accept your proposal, Captain Vel. But I must warn you, we will not be intimidated or coerced. We come as equals, seeking friendship and understanding. Zora's smile widened, and there was a glint of something like respect in her eyes. I would expect nothing less, Captain Sorensen. Prepare your crew for transport. We have much to discuss. As the transmission ended and the alien ship began to move closer, Lena felt a thrill of excitement and trepidation course through her veins. They were about to step into a larger universe, one filled with wonders and dangers beyond their wildest dreams. But as she looked around at her crew, at the determined faces of the men and women who had pledged their lives to this mission, she knew that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. The future was waiting, and the humans would meet it head-on, as they always had. Negotiations and revelations. The Magellan's shuttle bay was a hive of activity as Lena and her diplomatic team prepared to board the alien vessel. The air was thick with tension and anticipation, every face a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was the moment they had all been training for, the moment when humanity would finally meet an intelligence from beyond the stars. As the shuttle doors hissed open and the team stepped out onto the alien ship, they were greeted by a sight that took their breath away. The interior of the vessel was a marvel of sleek, organic curves and shimmering, iridescent surfaces. It was like stepping into a dream, a world where technology and art had merged into something wholly new and beautiful. Captain Zora Vel stood waiting for them, flanked by a delegation of alien beings from across the Galactic Council. There were insectoid creatures with glittering carapaces, reptilian warriors with scales that shimmered like polished metal, and ethereal, luminous beings that seemed to float on the air itself. Lena stepped forward, her head held high and her voice steady. Captain Vel, on behalf of the United Earth Federation, I thank you for this opportunity to meet and discuss our future relations. Zora inclined her head, her emerald eyes glinting with some unreadable emotion. The pleasure is ours, Captain Sorensen. Please, follow me. We have much to discuss. As the human delegation was led through the ship's winding corridors, They couldn't help but marvel at the alien technology that surrounded them. Every surface seemed to pulse with energy, every control panel a symphony of light and sound. It was a stark reminder of just how far humanity had yet to go in their own technological development. Finally, they reached a vast, circular chamber that seemed to be some kind of conference room. A massive holographic display dominated the center of the room, showing a swirling three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Zora gestured for the humans to take their seats at the curved organic table that ringed the display. "Please, make yourselves comfortable. We have much to discuss, and not all of it will be easy to hear." Lena felt a sinking sensation in the pit of her stomach. She had known that this meeting would be a turning point for humanity, but something in Zora's tone suggested that the news might not be entirely good. As the talks began, Zora and her fellow counselors laid out the history of the galactic community, a vast, complex web of alliances, rivalries, and power struggles that stretched back millions of years. They spoke of ancient civilizations that had risen and fallen, of wars that had raged across the stars, and of the delicate balance of power that now held the galaxy together. And then they spoke of humanity, of the Council's growing concern over the rapid advancement and expansion of this unpredictable new species. They spoke of the potential for conflict, of the fear that humanity's aggressive, adaptable nature could upset the careful equilibrium that had been maintained for so long. Lena listened with growing unease, her mind racing as she tried to process the implications of what she was hearing. She had always known that humanity was not alone in the universe, but she had never imagined the sheer scale and complexity of the galactic community that now lay before them. As the talk stretched on, Lena and her team fought to make their case, to convince the Council that humanity was not a threat, but a potential ally. They spoke of their people's courage, their ingenuity, and their unquenchable thirst for knowledge. They argued that humanity could be a force for good in the galaxy, a new perspective that could help to solve problems and bridge divides. But even as they made their arguments, Lena could sense the reluctance, the hesitation in the Council's eyes. They had seen too much, lived too long to be easily swayed by idealistic words and noble sentiments. In the end, it was Zora who broke the impasse, her voice calm and measured as she addressed the human delegation. "We understand your position, Captain Sorensen, and we do not doubt your sincerity. But you must understand our concerns as well. Your species is young, impulsive, and unpredictable. You have great potential, but also great capacity for destruction." Lena felt a flush of anger rising in her cheeks, but she forced herself to remain calm. "What would you have us do then? Sit back and watch from the sidelines while the rest of the galaxy passes us by?" Zora shook her head, a faint smile playing across her lips. "No, Captain. We would have you learn, grow, and find your place among the stars. But we would also have you do so with guidance, with wisdom, and with respect for the delicate balance that holds our community together." She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed a pulsing, glowing network of lines and nodes. "We offer you a chance to join us, to become a part of something greater than yourselves. But it will not be an easy path. You will have to earn your place, to prove yourselves worthy of the trust and respect of the galactic community." Lena felt a thrill of excitement and trepidation course through her veins. This was it, the moment of truth. The future of humanity hung in the balance, and the decision they made now would echo through the ages. She glanced around at her team, saw the determination and the hope in their eyes, and knew that there was only one choice they could make. "We accept your offer, Captain Vell. Humanity is ready to take its first steps into a larger universe." Zora nodded, her eyes glinting with something like approval. "Then let us begin. There is much work to be done, and many challenges ahead. But together, we may yet forge a new future, one of cooperation, understanding, and peace." As the meeting adjourned, and the human delegation prepared to return to their ship, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they had just set foot on a path that would change everything. The galaxy was vast, ancient, and full of wonders and dangers beyond their wildest imaginings. But as she looked around at her crew, at the brave, determined faces of the men and women who had dedicated their lives to this moment, she knew that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. Humanity had taken its first steps into the unknown, and there was no turning back now. The future was waiting, and they would meet it head-on, as they always had, with courage, with curiosity, and with the unshakable belief that they could make a difference. Divided loyalties. In the weeks and months following humanity's first contact with the galactic community, the United Earth Federation found itself caught in a whirlwind of change and upheaval. The revelation that they were not alone in the universe had sent shockwaves through every level of society, from the halls of power to the streets of the cities. Some welcomed the news with open arms, seeing it as a chance for humanity to transcend its petty differences and take its place among the stars. Others reacted with fear and suspicion, warning of the dangers of allying with alien powers that they neither understood nor trusted. In the midst of this turmoil, Lena and her crew found themselves at the forefront of a new era of diplomacy and exploration. They were the face of humanity to the galactic community, the ambassadors charged with forging new alliances and navigating the complex web of interstellar politics. It was a role that Lena embraced with passion and dedication, but also one that came with its own set of challenges and dangers. As she worked tirelessly to build bridges between humanity and the other races of the galaxy, she couldn't shake the feeling that there were forces at work beyond her control, hidden agendas and ancient rivalries that threatened to tear everything apart. One of the greatest sources of tension was the Galactic Council itself. Despite their outward show of unity and cooperation, Lena soon realized that the Council was far from a monolithic entity. It was a fragile alliance of disparate races and cultures, each with its own interests and agendas. Some, like the Eldari and the Core Consensus, saw humanity as a potential ally and partner in the ongoing struggle for peace and stability. They believed that humanity's youth and vitality could bring new ideas and perspectives to the table and help to break through the entrenched divisions that had long plagued the Council. Others, like the Zix Collective and the Saurian Dominion, viewed humanity with suspicion and hostility. They saw the rapid rise of this upstart species as a threat to their own power and influence, and feared that humanity's unpredictable nature could lead to chaos and conflict on a galactic scale. As Lena navigated this treacherous political landscape, she found herself constantly torn between her loyalty to her own people and her growing sense of responsibility to the larger galactic community. She knew that the decisions she made could have far-reaching consequences, not just for humanity, but for the entire balance of power in the galaxy. One of the most pressing issues facing the Council was the growing threat of the Krill, a mysterious and hostile race that had begun to encroach on the borders of Council space. The Krill were a technological powerhouse, with advanced weapons and ships that rivaled anything the Council races had to offer. They were also utterly ruthless, with a single-minded devotion to their own survival and expansion that made them a formidable and unpredictable foe. As reports of Krill attacks and incursions began to multiply, the Council found itself divided on how to respond. Some advocated for a policy of containment and deterrence, believing that a show of strength and unity could keep the Krill at bay. Others argued for a more proactive approach, calling for preemptive strikes and aggressive countermeasures to push the Krill back and secure the Council's borders. Lena found herself caught in the middle of this debate, torn between her own instincts for diplomacy and negotiation and the growing sense of urgency and threat that pervaded the Council chambers. She knew that the Krill represented an existential threat to the galactic order, but she also believed that violence and aggression would only breed more of the same. As the tensions mounted and the debates grew more heated, Lena began to feel a growing sense of unease. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else going on beneath the surface, some deeper game being played that she couldn't quite see. Her suspicions were confirmed when she was approached by a mysterious figure from within the Council itself, a high-ranking member of the Eldari delegation who claimed to have information of vital importance to humanity's future. In a clandestine meeting aboard a neutral space station, the Eldari revealed to Lena that there were factions within the Council who were actively working to undermine humanity's position and sabotage their efforts at integration. These factions, led by the Zix and the Saurians, saw humanity as a threat to their own power and were willing to go to any lengths to keep them in check. But the Eldari also revealed something else, something that shook Lena to her core. They claimed that the Krill were not acting alone, but were in fact being manipulated and controlled by an even greater power, a shadowy entity that had been pulling the strings of galactic politics for centuries. This entity, known only as the Convergence, was a vast and ancient intelligence that had seeded itself throughout the galaxy, infiltrating the highest levels of every civilization and manipulating events to its own inscrutable ends. The Krill were merely its latest pawns, a tool to be used and discarded in its endless quest for dominance. Lena reeled from the implications of this revelation, her mind racing with the possibilities and the dangers. If the Eldari were right, then humanity was walking into a trap, a cosmic game of chess in which they were merely pawns on the board. But even as she grappled with this new and terrifying knowledge, Lena knew that she couldn't afford to hesitate or second-guess herself. The stakes were too high, the consequences too dire. She had to act, and act decisively, if humanity was to have any chance of surviving the storm that was coming. With a heavy heart and a steely resolve, Lena returned to the council chambers, determined to do whatever it took to protect her people and forge a new path through the darkness. She knew that the road ahead would be long and perilous, and that there would be sacrifices and hard choices to be made along the way. But she also knew that humanity had faced great challenges before and had always found a way to overcome them. They were a species of survivors, of dreamers and pioneers who had never shied away from the unknown or the impossible. And as she looked around at the faces of her crew, at the brave and determined men and women who had followed her to the stars, Lena knew that they would face this new challenge as they had faced all the others. Together, with courage and conviction, with hope and determination. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would fight, and they would survive, no matter what the galaxy threw at them. The Convergence had underestimated them, just as so many others had before. And that, Lena knew, would be their undoing.